Cooking with
K2CJ.
Woo!
So, we're going to break away from our normal today because usually we cook a recipe out of one of my old cookbooks. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to do a recipe by Maria Emmerich, who is Keto Maria. And I usually follow a keto eating plan. That's why I haven't eaten the profiteroles and the cottage pudding cake that we made. But many people don't. Many people just eat normal. So we're doing a recipe by Keto Maria that is sausage gravy with biscuits. So we're making two different kinds of biscuits. We're making normal biscuits, so regular baking powder biscuits, and then we're also doing some keto biscuits. It's a recipe from Keto Maria, and they're delicious. So we can all eat this dish together because the sausage gravy is mwah, it's delicious. So here we go.
So we're doubling the recipe. So we're doing 16 ounces of cream cheese. We're doing 2 pounds of breakfast sausage, a baking pan, measuring cups, baking powder, salt, flour, and then for the keto biscuits, we're doing salt, baking powder, 4 egg whites, and almond flour.
We're going to make our biscuits first. And we're going to do the regular baking powder biscuits, and then we'll do the keto biscuits. The first thing we need to do is, what's the first thing we need to do, girls?
Oh, preheat the oven to 450.
Well, but we're going to do 400 because of that pan, right? So, in our last show, I think we forgot to preheat the oven, so we're going to do that first thing. So we make sure, because our keto biscuits particularly will fall if they don't go into a hot oven. Yep. Just understand, I have cleaned my counter off, so I really disinfected my counter. So we're going to be able to knead the biscuits right on the counter. So Charlotte's going to start by adding into our 2 cups of flour. She's going to add a tablespoon of baking powder there, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I always use pink salt, so that's what we have here. All right, and then she's going to mix up the dry ingredients. We didn't talk about butter earlier, but the butter has to be really cold for this. So I'm going to get it out of the fridge right now. I'm going to do this whole thing, actually.
But it's not melted.
Well, because you don't want it melted. You want it cold and hard.
Is this
And
all it is?
Yep. And it's going, you have to be careful not to slip and throw the flour all over the kitchen. You can use shortening if you want, but I like to use butter. I just like the flavor better. They're so good. Well, 3/4 of a cup, but we're not going to put it in all at once. One of the things, we're using light cream because I don't have milk. And I like to use buttermilk, which I forgot to get at the store, is put a little bit of vinegar in this to make it into a buttermilk. So I'm just going to put a little bit of vinegar. Stir that up with your fork, Charlotte. Just a little, it's fine. Let it sit for just a second, and it'll start to curdle a little bit. And then it's more like buttermilk. And it gives it just a little bit more flavor. And it's supposed to be a dough, so we're going to knead it on the counter. So let's see how it looks. So we don't want it too wet because the biscuits will be tough if they're too wet. So I think it actually looks pretty good. It still has, some dry looking spots, but I think as we mix it with our hands, it will pull the liquid all together into the rest of the dough. So we're going to flour our counter here, and then we're going to knead it right on the counter. So, we always wash our hands, but we're showing you to knead the dough. We actually are going to show you that we're washing our hands in order to do it. So there is some soap. Sometimes you just don't know until you start to work with it, you know, how much milk you're really gonna need. Get it? Need to need.
I don't know how to knead.
You can do them as thick or thin as you want to, but I like them a little thicker. So just put it in with the flour a little bit, and then get it as close to the edge as possible, so you're not gonna waste the dough. Okay.
What is the dough?
We're tasting the dough. This is, we always have to do our taste test. This is gonna be our giant one.
Butter.
And then I always find that I like to prick the top with a fork.
Honestly, not bad.
A whole oven here. I have one of those split ovens that you can do as a whole oven. 12 minutes, and just check them after that.
12 minutes.
We decided we're going to do our sausage gravy next while we're waiting for the first batch of biscuits. So we're doing a double batch, so I'll trade places. So we're going to break this up into the pan. Our sausage. And this is good organic. This is Butcher Box breakfast sausage in bulk. So this is the stuff you can make patties out of, or you can do this. I have a lot of sausage gravy.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
When you don't get them so wet, so you keep them so they're a little bit on the dry side like we did, they are really buttery and flaky. That keeps them really flaky and buttery. So, and they look real flaky and buttery in the oven. We'll know in a minute. So our sausage is done. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our cream cheese. And I think what we'll do is cut it to add it in. So, you know, we'll like flop it around.
You want me to like...
Yeah, but just gently so it doesn't fly out of the pan. Okay, look at that.
Not really. Oh, wow.
Well, it calls for a cup for one recipe, so we're doing 2. So
2 cups.
we're just going to kind of add it in so it looks good. 2 cups at most.
We're winging it.
Winging it? Where's the wings?
Here's wings. Winging it. Winging it.
So we're really not shy about adding salt either. So once we're done, we'll do like we did with the taste test with Julia's chicken and taste it. And if it needs salt, we'll just add a little more salt. So the sausage was fairly salty, so, and the broth has some salt in it.
Need some meat with it.
It's not gonna be hot. Of course, we're blowing germs right into the sausage gravy. I don't think it needs anything. Good.
I don't need anything.
It's so good.
You try it, Mom. That is delicious. This is delicious.
It's amazing. Burning my mouth though.
We're going to separate the eggs.
Making the keto biscuits now, right?
Yeah.
Keto.
Now it's important not to get any yolk into the whites or they will not whip up. So I asked the girls if I could do it, and actually it probably should be. Can you get that white bowl out of the sink? Crack into this bowl before I pour it in, just in case we break a yolk. Because I won't have to do another egg. Okay, so we separated all our eggs and saved the yolks because you can use them to make hollandaise or ice cream or whatever. So we're gonna save those. We're gonna whip up our egg whites. And here's our almond flour, and we have to mix our baking powder in here. And our salt. This is a quarter of a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of baking powder, and mixed in with and just do it very gently. And then what we have to do, we're going to recheck our recipe. We have to cut the butter, so we need butter in this recipe too. So 2 tablespoons of very cold butter. So here we go. We're going to get the butter. Because he doesn't want to miss any of the sausage gravy. Okay, so the butter, cold butter.
Do you want me to mix it? And
then just kind of mix it in gently. And then, oh, Charlotte, would you grease the muffin tin? Like 6 or 8. So I would do the middle ones. Egg whites that are all whipped up nice and stiff. So we're going to add the almond flour mixture into the egg whites, and then gently, very gently, can I use that for a minute? Stir it all around. So we don't want to deflate the egg whites. Stir it gently. Just kind of mix it all in. It's okay. Puff up as much as I would like, but they'll be good.
They'll taste.
How many thumbs up?
And regular keto. Woo! Did you hear that?
One of the best biscuits and gravy I've ever had.
What do you think about it?
Warm. creamy, meaty, fluffy, buttery, delicious.
Welcome to My
Cooking
Cooking with
with
K2CJ. We gotta do it again.
Alright.
Okay. Because she's gonna do K, I'm gonna do 2. She's
See.
All right.
Just pause it and delete this video.
Nope, fine. I'm gonna use it for the bloopers.